Tell me a little bit about your story. Where did you come from? What's happened to you?
So I was born in Colorado, the youngest of three boys. I got a twin brother and an older brother. Parents divorced when I was 9. We were in El Paso at the time. And that was the last time I saw my dad. And then we ended up moving to Colorado. I think it was 99. I was in 6th grade. So we get to Colorado, and I was a pretty angry kid. I ended up getting expelled in 6th grade, got expelled in 7th grade, and barely made it through the 8th grade. And after the age of 13, I fought with my mom a lot, just a lot. And to the point where she was either kicking me out or I was running away and staying somewhere else. And I spent a lot of time couch surfing, staying at different friends' houses. I hated it. I'm wearing the same thing over and over again and calling up people, hey, can I stay at your place tonight? And every time we went out to eat, it was just somebody had to pay for me. And man, I felt like a bum. Hated it. So I'd make up excuses like, no, I'm good, I ate already. Or, no, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. I'm starving. And I'd just go to the bathroom, kind of just sit there, put the toilet seat down and just sit there like, man, you're a bum, man. And so after, growing up a little more, ended up getting involved with, gangbangers, hustlers, drug dealers, tried to find different ways to make money through that. I even sold newspapers door to door. Actually made a pretty decent living as a 14-year-old doing that. And then, I loved music. So started freestyling when I was 13, figured out I was pretty decent at it. And then because I was the only Korean guy in a lot of the circles, I tried to do everything I could to be the best. And that's where I try to root my identity. Everybody knew Arthur. Everybody knew, oh man, he raps. Oh, yo, Arthur, spit something, and that's where I used to find, my worth, if you will. So, didn't graduate high school, just ended up partying all the time, going to raves, fighting. I remember at 18, we spent a lot of time in bars, had a fake ID, and, ended up moving out here to Arizona and trying to make a living out here. And I ended up fighting with my older brother, who I came to live with. So I came out here 4 times every year, never lasted more than 3 or 4 months. And then finally the 4th time, I think it was '09, I ended up getting an apartment out here and a job. And that job introduced me to a guy who introduced me to his cousin, who I became really close with. And he ran a call center. And at the end of the day, it was a scammer. We sold dreams in the disguise of home-based businesses. And, I was making anywhere from $500 to almost $2,000 on a weekly basis. And, we were partying all the time. If we weren't at work, we were at the strip club or we were at garages just, drinking and, doing cocaine and smoking weed and doing what we do. And the company, every 3 to 6 months, we'd have to change the name. We'd have to change locations, change the website. And, man, I hated that. So after a couple of years, I ended up leaving that and going to work at a dealership. And then, from there, I started making really good money. And I remember my mom, because we talk every so often, and she would tell me things like, hey, if you don't get a GED, you're not going to be much in life. You got to get that GED. So after I worked at the dealership, after a year and a half, I ended up making more money than anybody in my family. So like, oh, I'm going to be in sales my whole life. I don't need a GED. And but the problem was, I never got taught how to budget. Never got taught things like that. So I blew my money. When I was at the call center, $5,000 to $1,000 to $2,000 a week, 3 days later, I'd be broke. The dealership, make a lot of money, a week into it, paycheck's gone, now I'm, waiting for the next one. I hated it, man. I used to, I struggled with a lot of self-worth and, my own insecurities, and there's times where I just wanted to end it, drive head-on into oncoming traffic. But then, I think about what if there's a kid in the car, or what if there's a woman in there, I don't want to hurt nobody, look at roofs to try to jump off. And then in 2015, April, I went with a buddy to celebrate his birthday. And, we were at a strip club, then went to another club at Westgate. And I don't remember walking to my car. I don't remember getting on the freeway or getting off of it. But I do remember being upside down in the middle of the air. I had hit a 19-year-old kid in a Buick. I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, none of my airbags deployed, and the car rolled, it slid, landed back on the wheels. I get out the car and I see this kid with the most terrified look on his face. And he was okay, thanks God, thank God. I walked away with a scratch. So after a month, I call my mom, just kind of tell her, and the first thing she tells me is, you broke my heart. But then she follows it with, God's got a plan for you. And that got me thinking, like, maybe you're right. I grew up in church, but I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. I've heard stories, but I didn't, I just heard things that I was told. So after that, I started trying to find some churches to go to and, try to grow. The churches I'd go to, they were good people and they were nice, but it wasn't a place for me. I just didn't really feel plugged in. And I remember a friend of mine showed me Pure Heart back in 2013. So I was like, let me try that place. And I had found K-Love, so I got into worship music, and Phil Wickham was one of my favorites at the time. And I remember coming into service and hearing Phil Wickham. I'm like, oh man, that's cool. I'm used to hymns, Amazing Grace, stuff like that. But I also remember coming in by myself, keeping my head down, looking at all the families around me, thinking like, man, I don't deserve to be here. I shouldn't be here. Look at all the things you've done in life. You don't deserve forgiveness. You don't deserve change. You don't deserve growth. And so I wrestled with that for a while, but I ended up getting baptized here in 2016, and it was taking a while to get the world out of me, but I just remember saying, I got to do something. I can't keep doing the same thing over and again, getting different results.
And you accepted Christ here at Pure Heart?
I did, actually, rededication. And so when I see the salvation call, my heart goes out, because I remember I've raised my hand a couple times. Those churches I went to, I remember raising my hand at, and I'd leave it and still end up going with my old friend and ended up doing some coke and drinking, and like, man, what are you doing? And then feeling shame. Like, look, you want to change your life, but look, you're still here. So after coming to Pure Heart, I remember hearing a message from Dan, and he called it the 3 Ps. People, places, and passages. Pray God puts you in the right place around the right people. Pray God shows you the right passages so you can grow. And, all I knew were drug dealers and, party people and hustlers, and I didn't have any Christian friends, so I just remember praying that prayer every night, and I didn't even realize it, but like 3-4 months later, I look up and it's like, that prayer was answered. They had mentioned Move Starting Point, which was an 8-week course at that time, so I started doing that. And my table coach told me about Men's Connect that meets on Tuesday nights. And I went there and met some guys, and they told me, hey, we do a Bible study on Wednesday night. And then Monday nights, Todd, with the support groups, I started coming and volunteering with him there. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night at the food pantry, and then Sunday on service, all my time was I spent my time at this place. And in regards to the right people, people like Steve Cope, that's one person God put in my life to help me. And God put me in the right place. He put me around the right people, and passages started making sense. I'm reading scripture, started with Matthew, went to Mark, Luke, John, and just went through the whole New Testament. And I just remember everything started like popping off the page, like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Everything just kind of made sense. And so, man, thank you, God, you answered that prayer. So I started volunteering, serving, and then I was volunteering for over 2 years at the Resource Center. And then the director at the time, Roe, was like, hey, there's an opening here. Let me get your resume.
And what made you choose to spend all this time volunteering?
Man, I love helping people, always have. I've always had a big heart for others, and I fell in love with the Resource Center, the food pantry, connecting with the guests. And my biggest thing I remember is what I wanted to do is, when I was younger, there was times where I was starving, man. Even when I was with my mom, we didn't have a whole lot. So I know what it's like to go without food, and I also know what it's like to be too proud to ask. So every time somebody came in, my whole goal was to smile, look them in the eye, and say, hey, good evening, thanks for being here. And to make sure they felt welcomed and they felt comfortable. And there's times where people would apologize for being here. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, stop. We're here for this exact reason. Look, life happens, and don't feel bad about it. Let me go ahead, and I'd be happy to load this up for you. Load them up to their car and say, hey, is there anything we can pray for you about? And the thing about serving is it takes a lot of attention off yourself, and it puts it on others. And I think that was something that helped with healing and helped with growth and transformation. So I'm volunteering, and Rose's like, hey, let me get your resume. And again, I've been in sales my whole life. And I give her the resume, and she didn't tell me what it was for. And then finally, Pastor Todd, hey, Arthur, I heard you're applying for the Director of Outreach. Whoa, I'm not qualified for that. What? And it's crazy how it all works out, but they ended up bringing in Pastor Dondi, and I ended up working under him part-time. And it was only 15 hours a week. and the schedule was kind of all over the place, so it was hard to try to find another job to help supplement the income. But I knew I was in the right place because every time I had a financial need come up, God provided. You know, battery goes out, God provided. My tire blew out, God provided. And matter of fact, when I got my DUI, my license was suspended for 30 days. And I had to take the bus 2 hours one way. I had to be at work at 6 in the morning at this marketing company. And so I had to be at the bus stop by 3:45 in the morning and take the bus 2 hours one way to get there. And every Thursday night, I would take the bus 2 hours here to Pure Heart. And there's 2 volunteers there, Mark and Mary Ellen. They're great people. They would give me a ride home, so I didn't have to take the bus, or I can keep coming. And I remember being blown away because, you know, these not the typical people I used to affiliate with, I used to associate. Matter of fact, I used to think they used to look at me like, you know, like, why are you here? But man, they welcomed me with open arms. They loved on me, and they helped me grow. So with that being said, you know, I come and I meet Pastor Bob. That's when Pastor Bob came on staff, and I never thought I'd be here doing the things I was doing. Love Our Schools Day, the turkey drive, the toy store we did at Christmas. You know, I was part of some big things, and I was helping, you know, move a lot of it along and being a part of that. And I used to volunteer at all those things. You know, for 2 years, anytime a volunteer opportunity came up at Pure Heart, I was signing up if I was available. And now to be able to be behind it and leading over it, and, you know, it was pretty amazing. So, yeah.
So where do you think God's taking you?
Man, that's a great question. I do believe he has me between Pastor Angel and Pastor Bob right now for a reason. And Pastor Bob, I've never had a man speak into my life the way he does. You know, I didn't have a dad, and it's not like I want him to be my dad, but, you know, he'll say things like, man, I've never met a guy like you. Or, you know, the way he talks, like, I don't know, I still don't kind of know how to receive compliments like that sometimes, but I'm working on it. And what I love about him is, you know, he can easily say, hey, I need you guys to do this, this, and that, and we do it. But not only does he say, hey, we need to do that, he rolls up his sleeves and jumps right in it with us. And, you know, Dan had a sermon a while ago that when he talked about relationships and appreciation, when you feel appreciated, you're willing to do more than what's expected. And I think that's what it is with Bob. So, you know, I love his heart for people, love his heart for others. We can have a lot of tasks going on, but he'll never let a task take over eye to eye with the person and to hear a story. And Pastor Angel, man, she's just an amazing woman of God. She's teaching me a lot. She's, you know, literally my sister. You know, who knows? Maybe I'll be a pastor a couple years from now. But as of right now, I'm just in the moment and just trying to be obedient to everything God's putting in front of me.
You know, as we talked to Bob about his story is being an orphan, you know, and putting up for adoption and dropping between foster homes, but essentially growing up fatherless.
Yeah.
Angry. Is there things that it feels like that he's poured into your life from his story? Do you think that's why there's connection with that he gets you in a way? Maybe?
No. Well, one thing I appreciate about Bob is I don't have to put on a show, so to speak. Not that I'm being fake, but like I smoke cigarettes, and I've been on a vape pen for the last couple of years trying to quit. But when I met Bob, I was smoking cigarettes, and Bob would be like, "Oh no, you can smoke in my car." I'm like, "What?" No, I appreciate that. No, but like he never, like, you know, he never looked at me in that way. He saw past all the garbage. He saw past anything else, and he saw me. And yeah, I'm not sure. Just man works his tail off, and makes me want to work even harder. So I think part of my good work ethic is probably, you know, he's probably a big contribution to that.
So just growing up without a father, tell me a little bit about that, what that was like.
Man, you know, catch, you know, hanging out. Mom can only teach you so much, right? And, you know, and I'm grateful for my mom. She's taught me a lot, and she's a very strong woman, but she could never teach me how to be a man. And so I got all that from others around me. And again, most of the influences around me weren't positive influences. So again, which is probably one of the reasons why I went in a different direction. But, man, I hated Father's Day. Every Father's Day I used to hate it, you know. People celebrating, people, you know, just to play catch with the dad. And I remember being with a friend where his dad was taking us to school, and the radio was on, and Dad would tell the son, hey, who's this? And the son would be like, oh, that's the Eagles. And what year did the song come out? Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Like, I want that. I see that. I want that. But and I also used to ask myself, why couldn't I have that? You know, did I do something? Did I do something wrong, where my dad didn't want to be in my life? You know, little questions like that I used to ask. So that's some things I used to wrestle with.